we want to improve some of our existing infrastructure. This farm is about 115 years old. And I do like to talk to people about that because the history of this farm is that it was somewhere where animals died.
Really? Oh, tell us the history.
Yeah, sure. So the farm had they raised cows and chickens here. And there is actually still outside the barn, which is now my horse barn, there's still a butcher pole because it's cement to get it out. So it's still there as a reminder where they would hang the cows.
Okay.
And then in what is now our chicken barn is an old antique walk-in cooler from the 1900s. That building was their processing barn for their chickens.
Welcome to the Better Life for Animals podcast, where we amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. Through powerful stories and expert insights, we shine a light on the efforts to rescue, protect, and advocate for animals. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. Every follower helps us reach more people. And support animal sanctuaries. Enjoy the conversation.
Our guest today is Jessica Wallace. As an animal lover since early childhood, Jessica grew up obsessed with horses. After obtaining an associate degree in equine sciences, she went on to work for over 10 years in veterinary clinics, doing everything from being office manager to veterinary technician. In 2012, she bought the property the sanctuary is based on so that her horse could live at home. It was affectionately named the farm. From there, Jessica started rescuing cats and giving senior horses a place that's safe to land for retirement. In 2019, she rescued her first 3 goats and began her education about the devastating truths of animal farming. In 2021, wanting to be able to do more with the idea of sanctuary and to help educate and advocate, Jessica founded the Farm Micro Sanctuary and obtained a 501c3 nonprofit status for the organization. In addition to running for office for a successful company during business hours, Jessica still does nearly all of the care and management of the farm herself. She enjoys gardening, speaking out, and educating about veganism and showing people that special personalities of all of our resident animals. Jessica, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thanks for having me, Cheryl.
Can you share a story of what happened and what inspired you to start this farm micro sanctuary?
Sure. So, like I said, I rescued my first 3 goats in 2019 and fell in love. I knew nothing about goats. Fell in love, head over heels. They're just so fun, smart. I had no idea, right? Because we don't learn that. We're not taught that in this country very often. So then once I had them and started learning about them, and then I started learning about what goats go through and the fact that so many of them do end up in the slaughter, houses and everything. And that really affected me. And so when we were able to, I wanted to be able to start taking more. What really changed everything for me was when we rescued Millie. Millie's our first handicapped goat that we rescued in 2021. We actually rescued her right before we got our nonprofit status established. Millie's in a cart. She came from a dairy. They allowed her to carry a baby and deliver it without being able to walk or stand. And then they kept the baby and got rid of Millie. So Millie's been with us ever since, so 4 years. And she's the fiercest, most amazing personality in the whole world. So learning things through her, learning that there isn't a lot of help or advice for those handicapped animals, farmed animals especially. They just don't do a lot of that in the veterinary field. It's kind of learn as you go. That really just inspired me that it was time for me to be part of that and help wherever I could.
We don't focus enough on goats. You're right. We talk about cows, we talk about pigs, we talk about chickens, and we should. But I would love to hear a little more about what's particular to goats so that our audience can, add them to their circle of compassion.
Yes, sure. So goats as a personality, they as far as IQ, they are just as smart as dogs. There have been recent studies that have proven that. I can tell you that because I deal with them every day.
I believe you.
But they're actually more goats killed every year in the world for food than cows.
Wow.
So they are at risk for that. And of course, one of the primary ways that happens around here is 4-H and FFA. So unfortunately, but the other side, same as cows, there's the dairy aspect where they have to keep breeding these females and then taking their babies. So a lot of what they go through is similar to cows. And they love their families. We have a couple of we have a mother-daughter couple here that came to us as adults even, and still side by side forever. They love each other. They throw a fit if they're not together. They love their families, and so it's really sad that happens.
So you just mentioned 4-H and FFA. For our audience, could you tell us more about what that means?
So 4-H and FFA are both agricultural programs focused usually for high school students. The FFA around here, FFA focuses more on the plant agriculture. So, the big seed, corn and soy here in Indiana, it's corn and soy. But also 4-H, a lot of times the children are expected to raise up an animal as a baby, and then they take it to the fair where they show it and exhibit it, and then they're sold to the highest bidder, and it's for slaughter. And that's really sad that they're teaching youth that you can put a price tag on love, because all these kids, you see it. The early on kids, the kids that have only done it once or twice, they bawl their eyes out at the end. They're horrified, but they're teaching them that that's just what you do. You're supposed to be able to do that and make money, and that's what drives it really. And it's just really sad.
That is very sad. I have a lot of questions about that, but let's go back to your background in equine sciences and your veterinary work. Do you think that helps your approach to animal rescue and sanctuary life with that background?
Oh, it's definitely helpful as far as day-to-day life here. I'm able to do so much more because I have those skills already in place. I also have really good relationships with our veterinarians. They trust me to be able to do some of the things that don't necessarily need a doctor, that a technician could do without having to go to them. That's very helpful for me. Helps us keep our costs down, that I can do some of that stuff, basic first aid if somebody's injured or not feeling well, that sort of thing. I definitely, working in veterinary clinics is how I got started with cats, because I worked in a small animal clinic, and inevitably there were always cats. So I brought home lots of cats.
Jessica, what does a typical day look like for you at the farm micro sanctuary?
So my day starts at 4:45 a.m. So get up, feed all the inside animals in the house. We have 5 cats, 3 chickens, a quail, and the dog, plus a separate room, which is actually where I'm sitting, that is our indoor goat room for our special needs goats. So they also get fed in the morning. And then I go outside and feed our horses and our chickens and our other goats, clean stalls. And then I actually go to the office for a full day of work at the office. And then I come home at 5 o'clock and start all over. And typically I work outside until about 7:30. Come in, finish tucking in everybody inside, and I sit down at about 8 o'clock at night.
That's incredible. Are there any some special challenges and, of course, rewards for caring for all these animals with special needs? Because that seems very time consuming.
It is. It definitely is. It's very challenging. Millie, especially because she's a Nubian goat, which they're a very large breed. So as she has grown up, she's gotten pretty heavy. So that is one of our challenges, and getting her up into her wheelchair and that sort of thing. It is, you just have to make sure that you're giving that individual time. We have some older animals that need some massage, or we have a cold laser. We do laser treatments for their joints to help with their joints, and then supplements. They got to have their medicines, that sort of stuff. So yeah, it is consuming, but it's so rewarding. Millie never would have made it this long. She's 6 years old. That never would have happened anywhere else.
No.
And we have a couple older goats who live inside with Millie, who wouldn't survive outside anymore. They're old. They have really bad arthritis. They couldn't do winter anymore. So they stay in in the room. They have a TV. They have their big cushy beds. They have a good time, and we're able to give that to them. So it's very rewarding.
That's beautiful. So this is part, but I'm wondering if there are other ways that you help animals adjust and feel safe after often traumatic backgrounds. When someone first comes to you, are there special steps?
I try to let them decompress as much as possible. So we try not to, when they first come, we always do quarantine just for safety. Yep. So they're by themselves a little bit, which is actually a good thing. They can decompress, get used to the routines without having to feel like they're under pressure with, trying to learn to get along with everybody. And then when we do, and a lot of times they're afraid of people. Mm-hmm. So we're very careful to, allow that time. We don't necessarily have the vet out right away unless there's a problem. We let them have that time to settle in before we have the vet out to look at them or trim their feet. We do that, as soon as we can, but at the same time, give them some breathing room to start to settle in and feel more comfortable. Really everybody's come into a good place with us. We don't have anybody that doesn't like people. They were terrified. A lot of them were scared when they came, but they've all really settled in well and really just have amazing personalities.
Isn't that amazing that they're able to trust again?
Yeah, they're amazing. They just always do. It's astounding.
You mentioned a focus on education and advocacy. So how do you use the sanctuary to teach others about animal welfare and veganism?
Mm-hmm. So we have in the past and will continue to do. We do farm tours where we invite people in to meet our animals, learn their stories, and learn about what animals go through. I'm a big proponent of teaching that, and what happens to these animals and why we do what we do. We have done tours for homeschool groups with kids, and then we also go to events. So the first 2 summers that we were a sanctuary, we actually went to a local farmers market in the city. We went to Fort Wayne, so it was in the city, so it was a lot more people. And at that time, we actually had a handicapped goat that went with us. And he was a big attractor, of course. The kids loved him. He always had a line of people waiting to talk to him. And that was really helpful for opening up that dialogue. We want to plant that seed that people often don't think about, the face that's behind what they're having for dinner.
Right.
And so showing them, we always have videos and pictures of what of our animals when we go to these things, so that they can see and put a face with it and start to make that connection.
Wouldn't it be nice if, instead of putting your child through an 4-H program, that you would spend time with a particular sanctuary animal at your micro sanctuary? I think that would be nice.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's wonderful to want to teach your kids about animals, but not so that they end up being slaughtered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So what are some common misconceptions that people have about farmed animals, and how do you hope to dispel that through your work?
Well, I think some of the biggest misconceptions are that they don't have emotions, or that that they're not smart. People always tend to underestimate chickens, especially. I think people don't realize just how big a personality a chicken can have.
Like the chicken in the background.
Yes, that would be Nigel. Nigel he's actually a special needs rooster.
Okay.
He has deformed legs.
So my goodness.
He lives in the house, and he also has a heart condition. So he has his own cardiologist at the university, and he only weighs 2 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
But I can tell you that Nigel runs our house.
Like clockwork, huh?
Yes.
You're listening to Better Life for Animals podcast. Our mission is to amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. But we can't do it alone. We need your help. First of all, go ahead and subscribe to this channel wherever you're watching or listening. And then get involved by visiting betterlifeforanimals.com. That's betterlifeforanimals.com. Be sure to check out our blog, learn more about incredible sanctuaries, and explore our book section, where 100% of net proceeds from book sales are donated to sanctuaries. Every action you take helps to make a difference. And remember, subscribe to this channel. And now, back to the show.
If you are just joining us, this is Better Life for Animals, and we are having the pleasure of speaking with Jessica Wallace of the Farm Micro Sanctuary. Jessica, what are some of your dreams or plans for the future of the Farm Micro Sanctuary?
So we want to improve some of our existing infrastructure. This farm is about 115 years old. And I do like to talk to people about that, because the history of this farm is that it was somewhere where animals died.
Really? Oh, tell us the history.
Yeah, sure. So the farm had they raised cows and chickens here. And there is actually still outside the barn, which is now my horse barn, there's still a butcher pole because it's cement, get it out. So it's still there as a reminder where they would hang the cows.
Okay.
And then in what is now our chicken barn is an old antique walk-in cooler from the 1900s. That building was their processing barn for their chickens. So to me, it's really important and awesome that we flipped that narrative, that animals are here now to live their whole life without that danger. And all of that stuff is just collecting dust.
It reminds me of visiting a place in Germany around the Holocaust, where there's a town that's living today, and yet this is what was happening, and they're side by side.
Yeah.
That's a very powerful message. So
it is. So, but going forward, we do want, our hopes is to get a new barn, with a little more of the, modern stuff. I'd like to have plumbing in the barn.
You don't have, okay.
I
You don't have
I
plumbing.
run hoses to the barns, so it would be nice to have plumbing out in the barn. And then, the other thing we want to do is start to, have more of a program for kids. At this point, I just don't have enough help, but that's something we want to do going forward, is to have some sort of summer program for kids to come learn about the animals and learn about veganism and choosing more compassionate things to eat and to do, and that sort of thing. So that's a pretty big one on my list.
And an important one. I know your background is in equine therapy as well. You haven't tell us more about your horses.
So the horses that we have, one is my horse, Tough. I've had him since he was a baby. He is now 24 years old, so he's always been with me.
Oh my goodness.
And back in the day before I was vegan, I did ride, and we did show. I actually had quit riding before I went vegan because I didn't like watching what other people did with their horses. It was too hard to watch. So I actually had quit riding, and now I wouldn't. But Tough's been with me the whole time. He's why I bought this place to begin with, and now there's just lots of company. And then we have Queso. Queso actually came to me through our veterinarian. She rescued him when he was 5 or 6 years old, and he had an accident not long after, and he broke his shoulder. Nobody's really for sure what happened to him. He was by himself. So he broke his shoulder, and that when that healed, he was not able to be ridden or anything. So he was just a companion horse. But she ended up going on a sabbatical out of the country. And so she asked me to take him because she wanted to make sure he would, be somewhere safe. And he just never left. He's always been here. So he's about to turn 17. So we've had him for quite a while. And then our newest intake for horses is actually a pony, Rowdy. We took him in last fall. He was in an equine therapy program in a nearby town, assisting veterans in a therapy program. And he didn't like it. He was not keen on a lot of people. So he was acting out in the program, and they reached out to me to see if I would take him. He's also 24, and older horses are at such risk to end up being, handed off to, passing hands and end up in a sale barn somewhere and on a truck to slaughter. So that's why I've always taken those older horses that just need, somewhere to be a horse for the rest of their days. So Rowdy came to live with us.
How large is your sanctuary?
So we're really tiny as far as land. We have 4 acres.
Okay.
So that's why we're micro.
Understood. So I bet you're always at capacity, and yet you probably always find room for one more, is my guess.
Yeah. We've dropped a couple of numbers. We've been as high as 45 animals total. We're right now at 38. Our flock of hens in the chicken barn are all old, very old girls. And so we're starting to see, we're starting to lose some of them here and there to old age and some of those issues. But because of avian flu right now, we're not taking any more chickens for now, just to keep everybody safe. So yeah, that has reduced our numbers, but we find room.
How do you keep yourself going? What is your funding strategy?
We do a lot of fundraising on social media. We also have a Patreon page, so monthly donors. We
Okay.
have a pretty good group over there. That's really how we sustain, is knowing that those people are donating every month. And the amount varies, and it only takes a little bit from a lot of people to add up. So some people only donate $2 a month, but you get enough of those, and that really helps. So we do a lot of that. We also have events throughout the year. We usually do a couple events in the summer, and then our anniversary bash in September, when the sanctuary turns another year older. And then I also do a compassionate Thanksgiving
Okay.
feast that we invite that people can come to. So we do those fundraisers. We do a couple of marketplaces where we'll have a table set up, that sort of thing. But yeah, the donations through social media and through Patreon are our biggest way of getting income.
So I'm listening to your story, Jessica, and your day-to-day life, and it just sounds like it can be crushing, and yet you're smiling, and there's
Yeah.
such joy that is emanating from you. And I have to imagine it's because you love these animals and they're just so special. But still, I have to ask, how do you take care of yourself? Because if you're not up and good, this could all crumble.
That's exactly right. And we actually got a taste of that a couple months ago.
Oh my goodness.
I pulled a calf muscle really bad, and had to wear a walking boot for a couple of days. And I have one, my next door neighbor. She is my day-to-day volunteer go-to person. Thank goodness for her.
Hmm.
She's here every day to help. Every morning she helps. And then, while I'm at work, she keeps an eye out, make sure that
Oh,
nothing's happening. She checks on Millie, being handicapped. We just check in on her during the day to make sure she's fine. And then, I find that just being outside with everybody really recharges my batteries. So a lot of times when I get home from the office, oh, so tired, don't feel like doing anything, but I've got all these chores to do. And then once I get going and I'm watching them, the goats play or the chickens dig in the dirt or, whatever, it always makes me feel better. And then I'm good to go.
that's amazing. Do you have a network that you can communicate with other sanctuaries like yourself, or maybe in the veterinary community if you needed help or best practices? Are you a part of that?
Yeah, so I'm in a couple sanctuary groups, chat
Okay.
groups where we talk and we can, bounce ideas off of each other. Our primary veterinarian is actually one of my best friends.
Okay.
Um, so I have her available to ask questions to, thank goodness. And then, it, those are really important to have. They really are. Having somebody that you can say, hey, did you guys ever do this, or have you ever experienced this? It's really vital. And I'm really glad that I have those groups available.
Yeah, I would think they would be essential because, the general public has no idea what you go through.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So you need that support. Well, I am so happy that you agreed to do our show. I'm wondering if there's anything you'd like to share that we haven't covered, any special animal story, what kind of advice you could give to people who were thinking of maybe starting a sanctuary, any of those thoughts that we should still cover.
Yeah. If somebody's thinking about starting a sanctuary, what I recommend is volunteering at one first.
Beautiful.
Get an idea of what it entails, what that looks like. I didn't, because there aren't any others close by to me. But I knew. I mean, I have lots of friends who long distantly are involved in sanctuary, but still, do your research. Volunteer. There's a great organization called Open Sanctuary. They have tons of literature available for resources on information from your infrastructure and safety to having, different kinds of animals. They just have a load of information, and that's super helpful for everybody.
Very good. Well, how can we help you, Jessica?
So we are active on Instagram and Facebook, and we are on Blue Sky now. And then our website is thefarmmicrosanctuary.org.
Okay.
If you go there, all of our social media links are on there. All the ways to donate are on there. There's also a place where you can sign up with your email to be on our volunteer list. And then a lot of times we try to keep upcoming events on there as well. So,
sure. So if someone wanted to volunteer, there is an application on your site.
Yeah, they'll just go in and put their email in there, and that'll shoot it to me. Yep.
Okay. Do you have them coming at any time or on the weekends or?
So we do it a couple different ways. We have scheduled work days where we'll have like a Saturday afternoon with maybe some big projects to do where multiple people can join in. But if they want to volunteer, say helping with an evening shift of chores, we actually are looking for somebody to help with the inside goats, the older goats. It's just, cleaning and feeding and watering and of course, giving them lots of love. So we are looking for somebody that would like to volunteer for that, 1 or 2, 3 times a month. Every little bit helps. What somebody else can take off my plate lets me do a little bit more of something else. So
absolutely. It'd be nice to find someone with an educational background who could perhaps put together a program for the kids on the weekends to kind of get those kids involved.
Yes.
So you'd be open to that?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That would be amazing. So, we try to find what works for people and what they have skills that they could use to help,
Sure.
So
set them up for success.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, are there any closing thoughts, Jessica, before we say goodbye?
No, other than just, it's easy to see some of the bigger sanctuaries out there on social media that have a bigger presence.
Mm-hmm.
And they obviously also need lots of help, because they are bigger, but there are a lot of little tiny sanctuaries just struggling to get by. So I would hope that people could check around their area and see. A lot of times people don't even know that they're there, and they need the help.
Excellent advice, because that's what we're trying to highlight. All these unsung heroes out there that are doing wonderful things for animals. Thank you, Jessica, for being on our show and for all of the wonderful work that you do.
Thank you, Cheryl.
For those of you who have been listening, this is Better Life for Animals. If you've liked it, please subscribe and share it, as we want to get the word out there to do more work to help the lives and create a better life for animals.
Thank you for joining us on the Better Life for Animals podcast. Together, we can create a world where all beings are treated with dignity, respect, and care. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening. It helps us reach more people and spread awareness about the incredible work happening in animal sanctuaries. You can also share this episode with friends and fellow advocates to keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep speaking up, taking action, and making a difference for the animals.